morning sun shines on the gleaming hide of a muscular ranch horse. The aroma of bacon and coffee drifts from the wood cook stove at a cow camp. Silver spurs jingle as the men and women of the West get set for another day in the saddle. From the heart of Canada's finest ranching country, this is the Spirit of the West with rancher and horse trainer Hugh McLennan and his collection of music, poetry, and conversations with the folks who live and work with horses and cattle in the Spirit of the West.
As the days get a little longer, or at least we get a little more daylight, it's kind of nice doing the morning chores without needing a headlamp. And it won't be too long before the horses start shedding that heavy winter coat of hair, and we're only a couple of weeks away from another Kamloops Cowboy Festival as the circle goes round again. And this week, you'll hear an interesting collection of stories, all of them true and can be verified, like this one from Matt Robertson.
Pulled my horse around out of the cattle guard and didn't really look what was going on and just headed right for him. And then I couldn't slow down and his rope caught me right about the neck.
Baxter Black has come up with a classification system for crews that work cattle, and he puts them into categories depending on their attitude and ability.
Forgets basic rules like close tailgate or let implanter finish before opening headgate. And he will also talk to a cedar post.
The Rangeland News has a look at the latest predictions for farm and ranch income.
Cash receipts for broilers and cattle and calves also could be up from last year, but only by
how much? Well, you'll find out on the Rangeland News. And on the Urban Saddles and Western Wear Horse Training File, renowned trainer and good friend of ours from Arizona, Mike Kevil, offers some tips.
All I want is that the horse isn't going to buck me off somewhere and he's not going to run through a fence.
The Sons of the San Joaquin bring back a Bob Nolan masterpiece on our classic Song of the West segment, and you'll hear some colorful cowboy adventures after something I'm playing for the very first time here. It's called The Heart of a Cowboy from Brian Ragsdale.
Where the shadow of his Stetson hides his eyes atop his rugged frame, and his hands are hard as hickory, but his touch is soft as southern rain. Sipping on cheap whiskey, he falls back to younger days, riding down a fence line to a town that sure has changed. He has the heart of a cowboy, true and strong, wild and free. Yeah, the heart of a cowboy, he's the last of a dying breed. He's rough around the edges like the land where he was raised, fighting for tradition. He works hard at everything. Finished with his whiskey, he stands up to walk away. Dang proud he's the cowboy's daddy was yesterday. He has the heart of a cowboy, true and strong, and wild and free. Yeah, the heart of a cowboy, he's the last of a dying breed. Spirit of a Mustang, man among men, boots in the stirrup and his face into the wind. He has the heart of a cowboy, true and strong, wild and free. Yeah, the heart of a cowboy, he's the last of a dying breed. A dying breed.
Kind of a nice bluegrass flavor there. Well, Dave Longworth, a famous cowboy poet, was part of the very first Kamloops Cowboy Festival, and he's well respected by a lot of big outfit cowboys around here. When Waddy Mitchell was making a tour through central BC, Dave took Waddy out to the famous Douglas Lake Ranch. And the guy that was there to show him around was the Chaperon Lake foreman, Trevor Thibault.
We went out to the Douglas, and Trevor says, "You guys took too long getting here. We wanted to go out and rope some bears." And Waddy says, "You guys rope bears?" And Trevor says, "You bet. Me and Stevie got one here just the other day, so we were going to go find one." And what had happened was Trevor had a new rope. Him and Stevie went out, and he put a head loop on this little black bear, about 300-400 pound black bear. Stevie came up and got a 1 foot catch on with the heelers. And so Stevie says, "Cut the rope. Let him go." He said, No, that's my new rope. I'm not letting that rope go." And so Trevor, now, if you know Trevor, he's been referred to by Tim O'Byrne as Arnold Schwarzenegger with a black hat. Yeah. And he really is that kind of guy, a very special man. And so Trevor decides, no, if I have to cut the rope, I'm going down as close to the bear as I can, and I'm going to get as much rope back as I can. So he steps down. He's got his jackknife open, and he's going down the rope, and he gets right to the bear. And then the look in his eyes was just magic, and he looked right at Waddy and me, and he said, "When I got there," he said, "I just had to touch that bear." So he said he reached out and stroked the bear's head between the ears, like a dog, and he said the electricity was just alive, and that bear had been all bunched up. It just kind of crackled, and he said, "And I cut that rope, boy," and he said the horse went one way, the bear went the other, and he said I got 35 feet of that 40-foot rope.
And Waddy said,
"Wow." Wow, he said, yeah.
You
Another
took
great
it.
story about a guy with one of the Indian cowboys down there who had a new rope, but he also had just one, a trophy saddle, and he roped a bear, and the bear went up a tree, and as he dallied and backed up, the bear went over the wrong side of a limb, so the bear is kind of dangling there, but not only is it hanging, it's pulling up on the saddle in the cinches. And so his buddies are all going, "Let it go, let it go." He says, "No way, that's my new rope." And he's hard and fast on there, and the saddle's coming up, and the horse is kind of getting light in the hooves, and the bear's coming down the other side of the branch. And so they said, "Cut the rope." He said, "I'm not cutting the rope." And he steps down, and he undid the cinches and let her go. And the bear came down, the saddle went through the brush, and they tracked her down about 4 or 5 miles later, and that bear had just trashed it. I guess he got loose and come back and took it all out on the saddle. Yeah.
Well, coming up, a memory from one of the first top hands I ever rode with, and many of you might remember him when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. How about a weekend pass to the 24th Annual Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 19th to 22nd, 2020. Another outstanding lineup of the finest pure Western entertainers anywhere. Canadian legend Gary Velgar.
Searching for freedom, westward the wagons, they settled in the valleys of sagebrush and pine.
Tom Cole.
In a big prairie moon rides the big prairie sky.
The first Kamloops appearance for Doug Figgs.
A good horse under me, it's easy to see. I'm right here where I want to be.
A pasture full of great cowboy poets, the BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, dinner shows, daytime entertainment, and a spectacular art and gear show workshop. The best place to get all the information, bcchs.com. To order tickets, call 1-888-763-2221. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. It was 1969. We'd loaded up our old pickup with a handmade wooden stock rack and then coaxed young Dandy, my first horse, into the back. Billy loaded up the boys, Spencer 3.5 and Rod about 16 months old, into our 1963 Nash Rambler and left our acreage west of Calgary for the sagebrush hills and cattle country around Kamloops. And it was there that I met a wonderful guy. He'd moved from Texas with his family to manage the 7-0 ranch and invited me to ride with them, and I'm happy to say I still ride for that outfit today. He became my first mentor, taught me more about cattle and horses and ways of the West than anyone. Years later, in the early days of this program, I coaxed him up to the Broadcast Center studio. His name was Louis Sauer, and this is one of the many great stories he shared.
This young bull, and I left the heifers, and got in with the neighbors' heifers, and I thought there was no sense driving them heifers down. The bull was going good, and I cut him out and took him down, got to a round pen, and the bull decided he wanted to go back to the heifers, and I thought, well, this is the young horse and that, and I thought, I'll just teach both of them. So I put a rope the bull in the pen there, and dallied up, and I was leading the bugger down, and all at once he kind of got tired of getting led, and he made a run at the horse, and the horse didn't know what the heck to get out of the way. It was about the first time he'd ever done anything like that, and the old bull just run up between his legs and picked him up and took him down the road.
You right in the middle of it all.
Yeah, and I was trying to get the rope undone and everything, and holy smokes, finally the horse kind of went to his knees, and the bull flipped him right over, and when everything happened, the dust settled, well, I was sitting there, and my horse and bull were both gone.
And your rope, too.
Yeah. So, but the horse went one way down to the gate, and about a couple of 100 yards, and I found him and got on him, and didn't have enough sense to leave well enough alone, because the bull had my rope on. So I had to go back, and by that time he got back with the heifers. But I brought the bugger back in the round pen, and got my rope off, and then I rode home, and Roger and I went back and got him with the trailer then. But
I remember seeing Louis that night after that happened, and he was covered with bruises from head to toe, and I think he had one black eye and scratches all over his face. Anyway, when I ride near the home ranch, I still hear that Texas drawl, and I was thinking of him when we recorded this for the Creak of the Leather CD. In the lobby of a big hotel in New York town one day sat a bunch of fellers telling yarns to pass the time away. They told of places where they'd been and different things they'd seen. Some preferred Chicago town and others New Orleans. In a corner, in an old armchair, sat a man whose hair was gray. He listened very eagerly to what they had to say. They asked him where he'd like to be, and his clear old voice did ring. I'd like to be in Texas for the roundup in the spring. I can see the cattle grazing o'er the hills at early morn. I can see the campfire smoking at the breaking of the dawn. I can hear the broncos neighing, I can hear the cowboys singing. I'd like to be in Texas for the roundup in the spring. They sat and listened eagerly to each word he had to say. They knew that old man sitting there had been a top hand in his day. They asked him for a story of his life out on the plains. Slowly he removed his hat and quietly began. Well, I've seen him stampede o'er the hills till you think they never stop. I've seen them run for miles and miles until their leaders dropped. I was foreman on a cow ranch, and that's the calling of a king. And I'd like to be in Texas for the roundup in the spring. I can see the cattle grazing o'er the hills at early morn. I can see the campfire smoking at the breaking of the dawn. I can hear the broncos neighing, I can hear the cowboys singing. I'd like to be in Texas for the roundup in the spring. That beautiful guitar solo in the middle there played by Tom Cole, and we will be reuniting with Tom Cole and Brian Salmond as the Western Spirit travels to Fort St. John for 2 shows, the 22nd and 23rd of May. Tell you more about that just a little bit later. And that CD, by the way, has been sold out for quite a while, but now we've reissued it and have some available, and we will have them at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival. Come on down to the Integrity Speckled Park sale at Dryland Cattle Trading Corporation in Veteran, Alberta. This sale will have 30 high-quality bulls as well as top-the-line purebred and commercial replacement heifers. This great offering is brought to you by Wolf Lake Speckled Park, Movens Watts, and McAleer Ranching. The Integrity Speckled Park sale will be held on March 27th at 3:30 p.m. Come beforehand to check out the cattle and stay after the sale for beef on a bun and fellowship. And Matt Robertson will be in the main event Trainers Challenge in Red Deer in April. And a while back, we talked about horses and ropes.
I don't know if a guy should, always keep one good horse or try to sell one. There's a different ways of thinking there, but I like to have one good horse,
Any rope and wreck stories that come to mind or anything when you're out by yourself or a couple of guys and things didn't quite go the way you'd hoped?
Well, maybe.
So you still got all your fingers. You work good on the guitar.
Yeah, I had a major rope burn all last summer because, I don't know what happened, but I got a rope from a guy that had it was a different style of rope or something. It felt pretty good, but man, was it hot. And anyways, one story I can think of, I guess, was I was riding a 3-year-old that I had last summer, and we'd sorted this foot rot cow out, and they like to run them a little bit to get the air out of them at times. And she was a pretty big cow, and she could have used some air anyways. And the guy that we were riding with, he lined up on her, and I'm not used to a guy asking for help, but he said he wanted a haze. And so I guess, and by the time I got there, I was late. We were coming up to a fence, and anyway, the cow stopped and turned back, and I was having to run away. And by the time I almost went through the cattle guard on an oil lease, and by the time he had her roped, and I pulled my horse around out of the cattle guard and didn't really look what was going on and just headed right for him, and then I couldn't slow down, and his rope caught me right about the neck, and I grabbed it with my hand and hung onto my horn, and everything kind of came tight, and he let go. And then we were going right down a hill into some trees, and I just dallied up his rope to my horn. By the time we got it stopped, this poor little 3-year-old, he didn't need that. We had her tied to a tree and got her doctored, but everything doesn't always go very good,
No, dallying around your neck with your partner's rope is not.
No, I mean, when I first started doing this cowboy stuff, when I was about 20 years old, I took on some yearlings to look after by myself, and I was by myself a lot. And I didn't know a lot of the vaquero type ranch roping skills, and it was just rope them and get them down and doctor them, and so there's a lot of stories and a lot of wrecks the guy gets into that you don't want to tell people about, but it sure is nice to get around some good hands and see some, learn some good ways.
And as we have mentioned, Matt will be in the Red Deer Main Event Trainers Challenge in April. Well, Baxter Black has another fascinating commentary on categories for people who work cattle when the Spirit of the West continues right after this.
Howdy, friends. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan, and I'll be right back after this with a little peek at cattle disposition classifications.
Your land is a legacy, a challenge from those who tended it before you to build on their foundations. At Corteva Agriscience, we understand what it means to be the stewards of a legacy. We embrace the challenge of building on the foundation of Dow AgroSciences to maintain your trust, to bring new solutions, to help you care for your land. See how we can help build your legacy at rangeandpasture.com.
And for our Canadian listeners, just check Corteva.ca, the Canadian website.
My friend and farm broadcaster Rich alerted me to a new cattle handling procedure instituted by a group of Iowa feedlots. They classify new cattle through the chutes by disposition. They assume that gentler cattle perform better and that behavior is hereditary, so a cattle feeder could use the information to select which ranches to buy calves from. Their classification system scores 1 through 5 as follows. 1. Gentle, handles quietly, respiration may be slightly elevated. 2. More active, respiration elevated, settles down after rejoining herd. 3. Constant movement, occasionally bumping into fences. 4. Agitated by handling, bumps into fences and is always watching the handlers. And 5. Not only bounces off equipment, but would prefer to run over handlers and jump fences. Well, Rich pointed out that handling cattle is a two-sided penny. He said there should also be a classification system for the disposition of the handler. Well, I agreed, and thus proposed the following based loosely on the 7 dwarfs. 1. Sleepy, not a good person to have on the head catch. Useful for plugging holes. Think of as life-size cardboard cutout. 2. Dopey. Not necessarily unintelligent, just has exceeding bad judgment. Forgets basic rules like close tailgate or let implanter finish before opening headgate. And he will also talk to a cedar post. Number 3. Grouchy. Unfortunately, usually in charge. Irritates cattle and crew in an effort to speed things up, disrupts everyone's rhythm and timing, resulting in regular breakdowns, needs to be shoveling bunks alone. Rambo, over-anxious, often new on the job, catches every other one, can hit a steer 14 times with a hot shot in the 2 seconds between the tailgate opening and his first step. Better working with inanimate objects. And finally, number 5, the conductor. Orchestrates the whole processing crew in a beautifully coordinated symphony of pour-ons and powders, brandings and vaccinations, taggings, implantings, daylight and darkness, dehorning, debeaking, directing, and cajoling. Is humane, efficient, invaluable, underpaid, and easy to find because they're always the first one on the job. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan, brought to you by Corteva Agriscience.
Come on down to the Integrity Speckled Park sale at Dryland Cattle Trading Corporation in Veteran, Alberta. This sale will have 30 high-quality bulls as well as top-of-the-line purebred and commercial replacement heifers. This great offering is brought to you by Wolf Lake Speckled Park, Movens Watts, and McAleer Ranching. The Integrity Speckled Park sale will be held on March 27th at 3:30 p.m. Come beforehand to check out the cattle and stay after the sale for beef on a bun and fellowship. So happy to bring you the information on the special bull sales that we feature here on the show, and that is going to be a good one for sure. Well, just ahead of the Rangeland news, I'm still thinking about Dave's bear roping stories, and I looked up this one about a couple of guys and a bear from a new member of Alberta's Country Music Hall of Fame, Ivan Dames.
Jakey and Aroni was a-riding along. Jakey was a-singing what he called a song. When up from the gully what should appear an old mossback Suki and a bald-faced deer. Jake took after with his hat pulled down. He built him a blocker that would stop a town. The steer, he headed for the setting sun. Believe me, neighbor, he could hump it and run. Roney followed up his partner's deal. Just two old waddies that could head and heel. Both of them were working for the chicken coop with a red-hot iron and a hungry loot. The sun was shining in old Jake's eyes. He wasn't looking for no big surprise. When the steer gave a wiggle like his shirt was tight, and he busted through the junipers and dropped out of sight. Jakey's horse done a figure 8. Jake done his adding just a mite too late. He went out of the saddle a-seeing red, and he landed in the gravels of a dry riverbed. Roney's horse was a good horse too. He couldn't quite figure out why Jake flew. So he dumped old Roney where the ground was hard, and they both lit out running for the home caviar. Jake said a holding of a swelling thumb. Said he, well, I reckon we was going some. But Roney, he hollered, get away from here. We're both gonna tangle with that bald-faced steer. Roney clumb a straddle of a juniper tree. There's no more room up here, said he. Jakey, thinking himself to save, he crawls in the opening of a cut bank cave. The steer, he charged with his head way down, rolling his eyes and paw on the ground, hooking and a snuffing and a turning about, and every few seconds old Jake would pop out. Roney said, you old fool, stay back out of sight. You act like you're hanking for to make him fight. Jake, he hollered so the world could hear, stay back nothing, there's a bear in here.
How about a weekend pass to the 24th Annual Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 19th to 22nd, 2020. Another outstanding lineup of the finest pure Western entertainers anywhere. Canadian legend Gary Velgar.
Searching for freedom, westward the wagons, they settled in the valleys of sagebrush and pine.
Tom Cole.
In a big prairie moon rides a big prairie sky.
The first Kamloops appearance for Doug Figgs.
A good horse under me, it's easy to see. I'm right here where I want to be.
A pasture full of great cowboy poets, the BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, dinner shows, daytime entertainment, and a spectacular art and gear show workshop. The best place to get all the information, bcchs.com. To order tickets, call 1-888-763-2221.
The Rangeland News from the Spirit of the West. A roundup of issues and events from the world of agriculture.
At the top of page 1, it says, somewhere poring over their computer screens are hundreds of agricultural economists, and they've come up with their predictions for 2020 cash receipts for North America's farmers and ranchers. So let's check in with Gary on this one.
USDA's latest farm income forecast for 2020 says cash receipts for crop commodities this year may not top last year by more than 1%, but cash receipts for animal products this year may hit almost $186 billion.
That's a $8.2 billion increase over 2019, or 4.6%.
And USDA senior economist Ashley Hungerford told us,
probably one of the biggest bright spots is what we see for hogs and for dairy. These are two commodities that we see both production increases as well as price increases for 2020.
Cash receipts from sales of milk projected at about $42.4 billion, up $2 billion or about 5% from last year. Cash receipts from hogs this year could be $27 billion, up $4 billion or about 18% from 2019. Now, cash receipts for broilers and cattle and calves also could be up from last year, but only by between 1 and 1.5%. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Washington.
An interim policy to resolve the issue of cool without going back to mandatory country of origin labeling was presented at the International Trade Committee of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, and the working group's proposal was presented at the annual convention in San Antonio in early February. The NCBA wants accurate labels indicating origin of the product, but wants to avoid the complications caused by mandatory country of origin labeling that was rescinded when Canada and Mexico successfully challenged its legitimacy before the World Trade Organization. The NCBA wants voluntary labels because a mandatory labeling law could allow retaliatory tariffs from Canada and Mexico. Walmart's new meat processing facility in Thomasville, Georgia, is creating a lot of buzz in the industry. The 200,000 square foot facility opened earlier in the month, and it's an effort by Walmart to establish its own Angus supply chain from start to finish. Alberta beef producers and the Alberta Cattle Feeders Association have released their competitiveness study, and one big question it addresses is why the herd is not growing in Alberta. Some of the factors outlined are land prices, equipment and labor costs, making it hard for new producers to enter the industry, and the report also mentioned the difficulties of keeping up with the regulatory burden. You can look at the whole report at albertabeef.org. And the Wanderin' Western Spirit Band will wander up to Fort St. John, BC for Concert 83 with my little brother Jim and his amazing guitar picking, along with our super bass player Uncle Mike. And we will be joined by Tom Cole and friends at the Lido in Fort St. John, May 23rd and the 22nd. And that's 2 shows, 7 o'clock each night. Tickets available at thelido.ca. Or you can call 1-250-785-3011 or pick them up in person at the Lido on 100th Avenue in Fort St. John. The next regular cattle sale at the BC Livestock Co-op Kamloops Yards is March the 10th. And the next one at Williams Lake is March 19th and March the 20th, regular sale in Vanderhoof. You can get all the sales schedules, see the sale streaming live at bclivestock.bc.ca. Meanwhile, at the Innisfail Auction Market, regular cattle sales every Wednesday, and a lot of special sales coming up. You can see them all at the InnisfailAuctionMarket.com or give Danny, Mark, or Dwayne a call, 1-800-710-3166. And I guess we're down to the final item. And oh boy, the news has been full of stories about the former royal couple, Harry and Meghan, moving to Canada. And apparently they've spent a lot of time watching hockey. But only 2 teams, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Vancouver Canucks. And somebody asked why Harry was watching those 2 teams. He said, well, we're trying to find out as much as we can about living in Canada without a title. And that's the Rangeland News. Mike Kevil has this week's Urban Saddles and Western Wear horse training file, and it comes with a new ad that's kind of neat when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. My old pal Mike Kevil has this week's Urban Saddles and Western Wear horse training file, and it's good advice if you're wondering how to know when a colt is ready for his first ride outside the round pen. But first, Billy and I have spent some time reflecting on the wonderful times we've had after hosting over 1,200 people who love the Western way of life on 19 Spirit of the West cruises. After 120-some flights, over 90 hotel room visits, and through our challenges, including Billy's with radiation treatments and my journey with end-stage kidney disease, doing dialysis from Mexico to Alaska, that it's probably time for us to take a step back from cruise hosting after the next one. We have so many vivid memories and video of our members of our group ziplining in Mexico, having many memorable trail rides from Prince Edward Island to Mazatlan, walking down Broadway in New York City with the locals all wanting pictures of our cowboy hats, touring and visiting ranchers and farmers from Jamaica to Ireland, seeing the hidden treasures of Australia and New Zealand, the wonders of the Panama Canal, and so much more. And our unforgettable sing-along sessions with the Spirit of the West Choir. And we sure want to thank each and every one of you who joined us over the last 20 years. By booking with the Spirit of the West, you've helped us keep this program going all these years. Our farewell cruise called The Spirit of the West Brings It Home is coming up. We wanted to eliminate some of the hassles of long-distance travel and make it an unforgettable experience, so we'll gather you all up here at our ranch on July the 15th for a lunch and a concert with the Western Spirit Band and a special guest. From there, we go to the fabulous Sun Peaks Resort for a barbecue and sightseeing. The next morning, we all go down to the coast and we'll board the Holland America beautiful ship Koningsdam for a 7-day cruise up the Inside Passage and back. No flying required. This package includes the amazing White Pass Rail Tour and so much more. Now, this one is filling pretty fast, so if you'd like to join us, just call the number 1-800-530-0131 to reserve your spot. Deposits are refundable up until April the 3rd. You know, of all the places we've traveled to on 19 Spirit of the West cruises, Alaska has been one of our real favorites. The rugged, wild beauty, the gold rush history, the amazing resilient people, and the meals like Pacific salmon and Alaska king crab. It's so much to explore. Hope you can join us after the coaches, by the way, take us from Sun Peaks to Vancouver. The night before the cruise, we will all stay at the beautiful Fairmont Waterfront Hotel, and there's a special surprise planned for the morning we board the ship.
Now it's time for the Horse Training File, brought to you by Irvine Tack and Western Wear, Canada's largest Western store.
873, 874.
874 what?
Boots! Irvin Tack and Western Wear says they have over 1,000 boots in stock.
Well, of course, they're Canada's largest Western store with over 100,000 square feet of selection. Western wear with a welcome twist and so many boots. What number were you at again?
800 and... oh, no.
How about trying them on instead of counting them?
Great idea.
Find your perfect fit at Irvin's, exit 305 of Highway 2 by Crossfield.
Canada's largest Western store.
And, of course, you can shop online at urbansaddles.ca, where you can see all of those boots and saddles and everything else. Well, Mike Kevil has written the book on starting colts. He's been the head judge at the Road to the Horse many years, and he's been a winner of the Main Event Trainers Challenge. And here's my question for Mike.
Do you have kind of a checklist of things that you like to make sure in place with a colt before you, say, ride him out of the round pen for the first time or ride him out of the arena? Are there some things that, no matter how long it takes, that you like to have that colt know before you do that?
I think my checklist is a little shorter than some people's. I believe what you need to have is control, and you need to feel safe when you come out of that round pen. I've known other trainers that are very good trainers, and they will stay in the round pen a little longer than I do because they want certain things on that horse before they come out. All I want is that the horse isn't going to buck me off somewhere and he's not going to run through a fence. As long as I can kind of guide him somewhere, I don't need to have the horse really bridling up or really perfect in his turn or anything. I just want to be able to get out the gate and trot him across the desert and pretty much leave him alone. And this is what I'm trying to work towards, is get him out of that pen and give him something to look at. Let his mind work and let him relax where I'm not constantly turning him or picking on him in there. I want to go out where I can leave him alone. And because all I'm really after on a horse at first is I want him comfortable carrying me.
And for Irvin Saddles and Western Wear, that's the Horse Training File. And you know, I am really hoping that my buckskin mare, Lucky the Wonder Horse, will be doing as well in July when our cruise gang will be here as she is now. She's looking great at 35, and she still gets a daily feeding of Hoffman's Senior Ration. Find out more at hoffmanshorseration.com. Come and see the largest selection of well-groomed horses in Western Canada at the 7th Annual Top Gun Horse Sale. April 11th, high noon, at the Calnash Event Center, Panoka, Alberta. You can preview the horses Friday, April 10th at 4 p.m. They start coming through the ring Saturday, April 11th at high noon. Over 200 horses expected. Horses for ranch work, team roping, penning, rope and trail riding, barrels, mounted shooting, and kids' horses. Every type of horse you might be looking for, including loads of true ranch horses. Every horse will be ridden, driven, or led into the ring. Rain or shine, everything's inside. For information and to see the horses, go to TopGunHorseSales.com or call Jordan Dodds, 403-783-0246. And in case you're wondering, no horses were injured or even really shot at in the making of that commercial. Thanks, Jordan, for your support. And Matt Robertson has more thoughts on horsemanship, and has he ever roped a bear? We'll find out after a song that reminds us a lot of our granddaughter, Jill McLennan, riding her great show jumper, Edison. Here's Randy Houston.
The dream is alive in the little girl's eyes as she stands in the saddle room door. She's going for a ride on an old circle horse who can't take the miles anymore. Granddad checks her cinch one more time, ties her reins in a knot. An unlikely pair, less you should know the things that books never taught. She brings out the gentleman soft with his calloused hands, that is the way he was made. And she lets him lead, not 'cause she's weak, there's confidence in her strength. He's rawhide and leather, she's ribbons and curls. God bless the lives of cowboys and girls. Little girl grows into a young lady. Parents take her to the dance. Nobody knows, but she's got a crush on a boy from a neighboring ranch. His eyes meet hers from across the room, a night where nothing goes wrong. He takes her hand, they start to move, the beat of a slow cowboy song. She brings out the gentleman soft with his calloused hands, that is the way he was made. And she lets him lead, not 'cause she's weak, there's confidence in her strength. He's rawhide and leather, she's black dress and pearls. God bless the lives of cowboys and girls. Seems like yesterday she was a child. She takes my hand, we walk down the aisle. Am I strong enough to hear my voice say, her mother and I give her away? She brings out the gentleman soft with my calloused hands, that is the way I was made. And she lets me lead, not 'cause she's weak, there's confidence in her strength. I'm rawhide and leather, she's white dress and pearls. God bless the lives of cowboys and girls. God bless the lives of cowboys and girls.
Well, Matt Robertson is also a much-loved singer and songwriter, working cowboy, and one of the best ranch bronc riders in the West.
We're very fortunate, to have the DVDs and books and stuff that guys like Buck and Martin Black can put out. And I'm not saying that one way is better than the other if you mix it all up and do, but it's good to have all that information available and to have an open mind to use it,
That's for sure. And there's so much to cattle handling, and like I say, it goes beyond science to just about an art form. And even Georgina Sicking, the 86-year-old poet from Nevada, was telling me how she gathered a bunch of cattle that nobody had been able to get for 4 or 5 years. And she said there was 9-year-old bulls running out there with them that had, never seen human beings, and her and a horse. And she got 85 of them in this great big trap with just her and her dog by using, and she had a couple of terms that she invented for using it, but just using cow psychology.
You bet, yeah. And, a lot of these days, it's hard to come across a cow that's real wild, anyways. I mean, there's cows that are wild, but when Georgie talks about wild cattle, I mean, they're dang sure like rabbits.
Yeah, and in that Nevada desert country where they don't see people, and they, maybe it's a heifer that grew up and had 5 calves of her own before she ever saw a person.
You bet.
All of a sudden, she sees a human being and he's coming in building to her with a rope. Well,
yeah, you bet.
Not quite the same as the ones that are kind of hand-fed and see you every day.
No, but you talk about cow psychology, and you push one of them old girls that's been hand-fed her whole life. You push her too hard, and well, you're in for a fight too.
Sometimes it's worse because they don't have any fear of you.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Even if you at calving time, with 4 or 5 days after they have their calf, you just best stay well away.
Yeah. No, that's for sure.
Matt, this is a little bit off the subject of cow psychology, but I got to ask you this. In all your days on community pastures, have you ever roped the bear?
I haven't seen one.
You haven't roped one? Yeah.
No, but if I see one, he's gonna get chased. No, someday I'd love to. I always looked at Charlie Russell's pictures of them guys, and always chased coyotes when I was a kid and stuff, but I never did get my loop on nothing.
That made me think maybe we could make that an event for the finals in the main event Trainers Challenge. Anyway, coming up, the Sons of the San Joaquin and a masterpiece from the pen of Bob Nolan when this week's classic Song of the West comes along, and then Brian Salmond in the Cowboy Poetry Spotlight when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. How about a weekend pass to the 24th Annual Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 19th to 22nd, 2020. Another outstanding lineup of the finest pure Western entertainers anywhere. Canadian legend Gary Velgar.
Searching for freedom, westward the wagons, they settled in the valleys of sagebrush and pine.
Tom Cole.
In a big prairie moon rides the big prairie sky.
The first Kamloops appearance for Doug Figgs.
A good horse under me, it's easy to see. I'm right here where I want to be.
A pasture full of great cowboy poets, the BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, dinner shows, daytime entertainment, and a spectacular art and gear show workshop. The best place to get all the information, bcchs.com. To order tickets, call 1-888-763-2221. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. One of the finest composers and reciters of cowboy poetry, Brian Salmond, is standing by with something based on his own experiences with the stress that ranchers face when the cows are all calving. And for this week's classic Song of the West, one of Bob Nolan's lesser-known compositions. It was originally recorded by the Sons of the Pioneers in 1940 on RCA's orthoacoustic transcriptions for radio play only. This version was done in 1992 by the Sons of the San Joaquin. The Boss is Hanging Out a Rainbow.
Hi-ho, why should I be grieving? Stormy clouds are leaving. The boss is hanging out a rainbow. Hi-ho, now the grass is greener. Air is cool and cleaner. The boss is hanging out a rainbow. Many days I've rode the rolling ranges, feeling every heartbeat of the West. Sun and wind and rain and many changes, but that's because the boss knows what is best. Hi-ho, why should I be grieving? Stormy clouds are leaving. The boss is hanging out a rainbow. Hi-ho, now the grass is greener. Air is cool and cleaner. The boss is hanging out a rainbow. I saw him throw his lariat, a braided lightning strand. I saw him catch those angry clouds and burn them with his brand. Hi-ho, now the sun is blazing, hungry cattle grazing. The boss is hanging out a rainbow. I saw him throw his lariat, a braided lightning strand. I saw him catch those angry clouds and burn them with his brand. Hi-ho, now the sun is blazing, hungry cattle grazing. The boss is hanging out a rainbow. The boss is hanging out a rainbow.
How about a weekend pass to the 24th annual Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 19th to 22nd, 2020. Another outstanding lineup of the finest pure Western entertainers anywhere. Canadian legend Gary Velgar.
Searching for freedom, westward the wagons, they settled in the valleys of sagebrush and pine.
Tom Cole.
In a big prairie moon rides a big prairie sky.
The first Kamloops appearance for Doug Figgs.
A good horse under me, it's easy to see. I'm right here where I want to be.
A pasture full of great cowboy poets, the BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, dinner shows, daytime entertainment, and a spectacular art and gear show workshop. The best place to get all the information, bcchs.com. To order tickets, call 1-888-763-2221. Brian Salmont is one of those cowboy poets that can hold you spellbound, and he will be at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival this year. He'll also be joining our Western Spirit Band along with Tom Cole and friends at the Lido Theater in Fort St. John, May 22nd and 23rd. And here's Brian with something based on personal experience called calving stress.
Are you sure that your cows are all happy? Are they doing what cows ought to do? If they ain't, then resort to this confirmed report that the specialists have written for you. Are they snooping and pooping with no tails a drooping? Are they chewing their face in the sun? Are they romping and stomping and looking like something with ribbons and prizes they've won? Well, I'm reading the news and sipping some booze, and I hit the floor on the run. I'd best be a-checking the twins I'm expecting from the old Brocco-faced 41. As I grab for my coat, leave my darling a note. I've gone checking cows sharp at 2. I'm walking and talking, a night watchman stalking, and right by my side is old Blue. By the stab of my flashlight, I see that we're all right. The twins are up sucking the cow. But there's muck and there's mire from my old tractor tire, with ruts that would bog down a scow. Now I'm slipping and tripping and flailing but failing, I gracefully pile up in a heap. Now the sight of my action without proper traction, the herd jumps alive from their sleep. Old 41's jumpy and looking real grumpy, and she used to be my favorite cow. But here she comes charging, my eyeballs enlarging. I better be leaving, and now. I'm still down on all four, but it concerns me more. My rubber boots stuck in the mud. I can't go nowhere, and I'm deep in despair when she contacts my butt with a thud. Well, this gets me moving. I'm scrambling and grooving. My dentures fly out to the night. The fence is my quarry, my one sanctuary, when Blue takes this notion to bite. My boot and my teeth are somewhere beneath. I'm stumbling along in my sock. I'm wishing real bad for the chances I've had that I'd found me a new trail to walk. But I'm back at the house with my dear loving spouse, and old Blue lays my teeth by his dish. I should kick the wretch, but I taught him to fetch. and I guess he complied with my wish. Now I'm sitting here pouting. In my mind there's no doubting there's one major change in my life. First thing in the morning, without any warning, I'm giving these cows to my wife.
Well, thank you again for riding along, and hope you can meet us back here at the same place and time next week. Generous support for this production is provided by Mark and Kathy McMillan, and Mark can also help you find those tractor parts you might be needing at his page, bctractorparts.com. And if you enjoy this program, I know you'll enjoy Canadian Cowboy Country Magazine. Subscribe online at cowboycountrymagazine.com. And I hope you can check out our YouTube and podcast versions. There's some neat pictures with every show on YouTube. Get the links at our website, hugh-mclennan.com. Till next week, I'm Hugh McLennan. Hope to see you down the trail somewhere real soon.